And you, indeed.
So this is Mark from Hope for Horses UK, which is a campaign group. And Mark, can I let you talk about it and how it came about?
We can give it a go. Back in February 2014, or February the 15th in fact, this poor horse on my t-shirt was found in some, well, it's actually existing floodplain behind a retail park called Foss Park in Leicester. Now, there were multiple problems on site. The horses weren't being attended to sufficiently. It was a big open area, highly toxic, full of a lot of dangerous elements, very, very dangerous elements, which you can see on our Facebook page, the photographs, which is Help the Horses of Foss Park, Leicester. Okay, that's where we all started. So it was a bit of a battle and a bit of a campaign to get these horses off this particular piece of land, and the area closed, so we've got no more grazing there. But the problems that we came up against have been what has sparked the UK campaign. So people might think when a horse is in trouble that the RSPCA are going to come straight in, sort the problem out, gone, dealt with. It's far from the case. The case is that the RSPCA are overrun and they're not capable of coping now with the size of equine crisis that we've got on our hands throughout the UK. In theory, with the Animal Welfare Act, it should be down to the police and trading standards to actually enforce the existing legislation. However, it's not mandatory for them to do so. The 2006 Welfare Act is what we call, or what's known as, a Common Enforcers Act. So in fact, it's the government's get out of jail free card allowing them to say, no, you can enforce that act yourself. Well, of course, the resources to do that are very limited as an individual. So what we actually want is for the government to make it mandatory for our local authorities, i.e. police and trading standards, to actually go in and enforce the law. There is obviously a lot of work to be done around the ability to enforce the law. Each horse should have its own passport, and to not have a passport technically could attract a fine of some £5,000. But again, with the lack of enforcement and the lack of enthusiasm from the local authorities, this just isn't coming through. So that's where our campaign sits, and that's what we're driving for: the enforcement of the existing animal welfare laws on behalf of neglected horses.
Wow, that's really good. And you're a volunteer.
Yeah, the campaign evolved really. I was the one that found Hope, as she became called, and I just whacked it out on Facebook because it was such an outrageous situation, and immediately a whole bunch of people who were outraged by this, who were very moved by this, piled in and we've kind of come together and formed our own group, if you like. So we've formed a very unofficial campaign group, but it seems to be incredibly effective as well, driven by, not myself, but the incredible background team that I've got supporting me.
It's really good, and I wish you all the